I've already cut some paper to begin the book. So you can, like I said, decide what you want to do. If you want 2 flaps on the one page, you want a pocket on the back side and only a flap on this side. You know what I'm saying? All those kind of things you want to design, pre-design, kind of have an idea of what you're going to want to do with that. And then just go for it. So for this one, I am going to put 2 flaps. Let me check. I want to make sure. No, well, yeah, I'm going to have 2 flaps, but what I'm going to do, this is going to be my very first page, the front page. I always work front to back, and you can actually exchange them however you want, but you have to kind of plan your book knowing that the next page is going to come up after you turn your first page, and then these two kind of have to match up in style or however you want to do that, okay? So just remember that. So to start the book, I am going to start with a couple different things. On this bottom one, I am going to make a pocket out of it, okay? So this little flap that's just hanging around here, I am going to glue it down. Sorry, my lamp almost fell. I had to grab that real quick. So I'm going to glue that down, but I'm going to be using my liquid glass. And I just want to make sure, from close to my heart, basically the same as glossy accents, I believe. Well, no. Yeah, something like that. So I'm going to use a wet glue for this pocket, because if you stick a tag in there and you have it glued down with, you know, your double-sided tape, your score tape, your ATG tape, it might hang on to it. It's going to stick it down also because it's wet and it doesn't dry. It just stays kind of moist. So what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of my liquid glass on the very edge here and on the other side to make a pocket, okay? And I'm just going to hold that down for a few seconds until it dries, okay? So while it's drying, I'm going to move on to the flaps that I'm going to be adhering to this page. And like I said, that thing has been cutting my paper all disgraceful, like there's like little burrs all around this. If you are going to distress your paper, I would recommend doing that before you glue them down. Sometimes I forget and I'll go ahead and stick it down, then I distress after, and this doesn't look the same. But I'm going to tell you real quickly the page flaps. All of the flaps that are going to go up and down on all the pages, and even the inserts that go inside the little pages. Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, all the pages are going to be 3 1/4 by 4 7/8. And the reason I did that is because I want them to be a little bit smaller than the flap, than the actual envelope, the way we cut it, just so it tucks in there real nice. And that's it. So 3 1/4 by 4 7/8 if it's going to be the paper that are going to be on the flaps. If it's going to just be covering this middle part like this, that's the same size. The other thing, I made my pocket. I did not put a background paper. If you want to put paper down in the back before you put the flap, the pocket, that's fine. The reason I didn't do on this one is, 1, because I forgot, but 2, mostly because I have this other piece that I'm going to be applying here that I'm going to punch, and it's already kind of tall, so I feel like if I had this, I had some other paper and the flat paper, it just looked like too much. So I'm going to leave this kind of plain in the background, okay? It's not really part of the design so much, but it's there. So that's why I did that. But let me take this. I'm going to take some black ink and my little pages. I need 2 of them for the flap, 1 from the front, 1 for the back, and I'm doing black ink because there is black in the paper, and black is like a theme in this paper pack, even though it's more of a spring theme. Okay, so I'm gonna go around and distress all the corners or the edges of the paper in black. And so we're gonna go ahead and adhere the flap just to have that ready. If there is a direction to your paper, like if there's an actual up and down or side to side direction, make sure you pay attention to that as you're sticking them down, because one is going to be facing this way, right? And that's facing me correctly. And when you flip it open, the next one is going to be here, and it should face the right direction. So if you have words or something like that on there, you don't want them to be upside down. Okay, so just kind of think about that as you're going to glue them down. And for this one, I am going to just use my wet glue because it's easy, but ATG is also very easy and awesome to use. You can just put it right on there and, you know, get it going. But for right now, I'm just going to use my liquid glass, and I'm going to go around. And at the bottom here, I'm going to put quite a bit. Yes, on this bottom edge, I'm going to put quite a bit because that's going to be where that flap is. It's going to be touching, so you want to make sure there's quite a bit there. And up the sides. Up the sides just to a certain amount. So I'm going to try and center this as I'm looking at it and just kind of stick that down. I'm going to bring this flap over and hold it down there. And that's going to stick those two together. And then I'm going to have my other flap ready. And I'm going to glue that together also. There's a little clog in my glue that keeps coming back up all around this here. And of course, now that thing got out of the way, and now I'm putting too much liquid glass, and then all up into the top corner here. Okay, Now we're going to make sure that our two flaps are lined up. So however you want to do that, I would line it up from the bottom first because that's the part that you can see the most if it's not correct. And the sides, and all the way up to the top. Okay, so there we have our first flap, first page, basically. This bottom one, we're not done yet. I'm going to be decorating it. This strip is it's not 2 inches anymore. It's 1.5 inches by 4 7/8 of an inch. So again, 4 7/8 of an inch, because that's how wide I decided to cut my paper, and all the papers are all going to be that same width, 4 7/8. But this time it's going to be 1.5 inches tall. And when I cut it with my Martha Stewart punch here, it's going to be a lot smaller. But 1.5 inches tall, and I'm going to go ahead and just take my Martha Stewart punch and punch a border on that, okay? And in case you don't know how to use this, most people do, see I already cut that. And then I'm going to take it and line it up with the rest of the little doily that's already printed here. And I start in the middle because it's easier, it looks nicer when you start in the middle and go out. If you start on one edge, it's going to be nice and perfect, but then the other edge isn't going to be quite right. So it's better to start in the middle and go out, that way it's more natural looking. And on the other side, I'm going to line it up on the opposite end and punch it. And now I have this cute kind of doily looking thing at the top. And I already distressed the edges of this, so all I need to do is distress the very top again. Just kind of go in with my sponge at the very top. And this guy I'm also going to glue down to this spot here. And I'm only going to glue as wide as the flap itself is, or the pocket. Okay, so I'm going to put the glue on the pocket because it'll be easier to tell that way. Go all the way up to the edge. I don't want, if someone puts a tag in there, for them to shove it in between the decorative part and the paper, okay? So make sure you get all the way to the edge there. And however else, if you want to put more, just to make it a little sturdier. Again, if you have an ATG, you're just going to run it on the very corners, all the edges, and you should be good with that. And leaving very small gap between the bottom of your paper, so there's still a black border on the side and the sides. We're just going to glue that down. And that is our first page all done. Okay, and then of course later we'll make little tags and things, inserts that will go in here. So there's a little pocket there, okay? This one's gonna have a flap for whatever decoration you want and a pocket. And then the, since the back side, when you turn it this way, there's gonna be no flaps because obviously I already used the flaps on the other side. I'm going to have a flap panel here with a little binding that'll be nice and cute, and the pocket will go on this side, the pocket that you make in here. So I'm gonna punch a hole right around here. And that'll be our pocket. Okay, so now we're going to be on to page 2, right? We just finished page 1. Page 2 is going to be a little bit different. Here's my other envelope. I still need to cut it down to size. For this one, again, I'm not going to have any pockets or anything on this side. I'm going to leave it nice and plain. So what I'm going to do with these, they're going to be turned back to create a pocket and a flap for the next page, okay? So I'm going to turn them both back. So this page is going to be kind of plain. It is going to have its little pocket though that I'm going to cut out on this side, of course, and a tag. That's going to be for this side of the album. You can also put a pocket or a flap if you want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to stay the same uniform. If you want both sides to be a little bit different, you can do that. So I've already cut paper for that. And again, I cut the same dimensions. Like I said, they're all going to be. So 3 1/4 by 4 7/8. So that's what this is cut at. And I got 2 pieces of the paper that I thought would be cute. They're actually from the same page. And I cut it down to 3 1/4 width. And since it's usually 12 inches long, because it's a big, 12 paper, I cut the middle part of it out so that I would have the 2 flaps that still coordinate. They both have that beautiful little side detail there. So these are both 3 1/4 by 4 7/8. And this is going to be easier than anything. All we're going to do is stick those guys down. And if I just put it right into the binding after I stuck it down, that would work. Okay, so I'm going to put this guy in here for the binding, stick it down. If you can see, this is what the binding is going to be for. On this other flap that's sticking up, on the next set of set of hills or mountains, the other one's going to tuck in there. And it's black in the middle, so it coordinates, if these are here. That doesn't look hideous or obvious or anything, right? It's just there, and it's actually pretty nice. If you want to make it simpler, you can do that. But I'm also going to add a piece in the middle here and punch it, paper punch it. with the same Martha Stewart punch. And these, whenever I do this kind of thing, is going to be cut at 3 3/4 by 3 1/4. Okay. And basically it's just gonna go fit right into this paper here, just like that. So it's 3 1/4 wide, but it's 3 3/4 inches in the width. And then we're going to, before we punch it or after we punch it, doesn't matter. I'll do it before. We're going to score it so that it goes right into that little 1/4 inch groove, okay? So let me get some glue and cut this other paper down, because I haven't cut it yet. And we'll finish page. So the first thing we're gonna do is just stick these down. Just very easy. You can use your ATG again, or however you like to do it. I'm going to apply this all over and just adhere it. And I just forgot that I forgot to distress the paper, so I'm going to do that real quickly. And then we're just going to stick it down. Now I'm going to have glue all over the back of my hand, but that's okay. I'm trying to do this as my husband, not my husband, sorry, he's not around here. My brother took my kids to hang out, so which is nice to give me a little time. And I don't know if you noticed, my nails are different from when I first started the video, because it's been days since I was able to come back. So, okay, we're just going to take that panel and just stick it right in the middle of this page. Okay, and you have to be careful with the liquid glass, because once you put it down, it does not want to move, really. It dries that quick. Okay, so I'm going to do the exact same thing for this other side. I'm just going to distress it and glue it down, okay? Right into the middle there again. So those are both done and glued down. So what I'm going to do before I move on, and it's up to you, in my mind, since this is kind of a new thing, I haven't tried it yet, so we're all experimenting here. I feel like I need to go ahead and glue these down first. Maybe it's smart to finish up the, both pages, everything before I glue it down, but I think I'm going to go ahead and glue them down. So we're going to take our piece of binding, take the side that has the ups and downs, the little flaps, and I'm going to coat these in liquid glass. You can, I guess, put ATG if you want, but I feel like this is going to help keep it down. So I'm going to put on both sides some liquid glass, okay? And I'm going to take that first one and slide it right into the first page. This is the front of the first page. This is the page 2, basically. So I'm just going to take this and just slide it in here, up to where it butts up right to the not the gusset, but the binding, the very back of it. You can push it down like that, and we're going to hold it down and make sure that that stays stuck down and glued, and just make sure it's correct on both sides, that it's nice and straight. Okay, this stuff dries really fast, so I don't have to do it too long, but there it is. Okay, so now that first one is adhered to the binding. It's part of it, as you can see. It's all one piece, it's not falling out. I'm just going to turn that piece back, and I'm going to do the same thing with this next one that's sticking up. So I'm saying you can do this at the end and then just not add the middle binding parts until you're done, or as you go along. I'm going to do this time as I go along. Maybe next time I'll do it at the end, who knows. So again, I put glue on both sides. I'm going to take the next page that coordinates with the following we just did and try and line them up, but try to get them in there again nice and straight, just the same as we did the other one. And then I'm going to push it together so that our page is nice and straight and so that it adheres really well. Now this is what I was saying, these two, they coordinate real well. That black in the middle doesn't look awkward, it doesn't look weird, it's nice and clean, nice and smooth. If you want to just go on to the next page and start decorating that, you can definitely do that. I decided that I wanted to put that little gusseting in the middle like I told you. This part here. So what I'm going to do is distress the very top and bottom of this, and then we're going to punch it with the Martha Stewart punch. You can distress at the end, I guess, since we're going to cut it anyway. Okay, and before we start doing our punching, we're going to score it. I'm sorry, I had messed up. I had cut the paper wrong, so I want to make sure I'm in the right spot. So 3 3/4 by 3 1/4. So 3 1/4 obviously is the width, because that's how wide this paper is, the other papers, and 3 3/4 inches wide, because we're also going to trim it down a little bit. So this is going to make pockets, but it's going to make little decorative ones and kind of small. So I'm going to put this to the side for right now. Let's lay it down 3 3/4 inches wide. We're going to score it at 1 3/4 inches and at 2. That's, again, is going to give us a little bit of a 1/4 inch gusset. And we're going to try to fold this so that it's a little bit more narrow than the actual gusset, okay? Because it's going to fit in there. We don't want it to be about the same size. And I'm not even going to glue that part down because I don't want it to end up pulling on the bag or anything. So I'm going to fold them so hopefully they're a little bit inside of what the 1/4 inch gusset and the or binding in the book is, okay? And what I mean by that is when I bring this back, I want this to kind of tuck in here without being wider than the book in the middle there, or, you know, pulling on it. And I'm not even going to glue it down. I'm going to glue down this part over here because I don't want it to end up messing with the binding. If you're going to stick this in there and that there, it just might end up pulling it. So I'm just not going to stick down that little 1/4 inch piece in the middle, but I'm going to glue down the sides, okay? And before we do that, I'm going to take my Martha Stewart punch. Again, just like I showed you before, start in the middle, and then punch the 2 opposite sides. And I'll be right back when I'm done with that. All distressed on the edges after I punched it and everything. And so we have this little decorative piece here. And what I'm going to do is apply my liquid glass. And again, I'm using liquid glass. It's a strong adhesive. If you want to use your ATG, that's up to you. I just, you know, when you put tags in there, you don't want it to end up pulling or getting stuck in there. So we're just going to run it around across the edge up to that 1/4 inch mark. We're not going to put any in the 1/4 inch mark. So all down this whole edge and up the side. And that is going to create a pocket. So what I'm going to do is try and line it up. There's no glue on this other side, so I can touch my finger there. And I'm just pushing it over so that that 1/4 inch mark is to the left here. And I'm going to place it to the very edge of the black paper bag, of the first paper bag, okay? And I'm trying to line it up in the middle, but I want it at the very edge. Okay, I'm going to hold that down until it dries, and it's going to be the first pocket on the left side. It's all nice and dry. I'm going to get a little bit closer. On this side, we're going to do the exact same thing. I'm just going to push this a little bit, trying to get it trained to go that way. And I'm going to make a pocket here. And you don't even have to make pockets. If you feel like it's not going to work for you, it's kind of weak, or maybe because it's kind of a small book that you want just to put that decorative piece in there, not to actually work, then just glue the whole thing down. Just put tape all over it and then glue the whole thing down. It still looks pretty. But I wanted it to be a little pocket. So I'm going to try to match it up so that the book does not have to stretch to make this work, okay? So what I'm doing is kind of holding that up and kind of messing with that binding just to make sure that it's kind of together and not pulling on the book, okay? We don't want it to strain the book at all. So I'm going to hold that till it dries, just a few seconds, and I'll show you that. He sent me a text message. You guys know he's not here with us right now. He's out in Georgia. But look at this, so my little baby. He's almost 3.5, almost 4, big old chubby legs. This is our backyard back in Fresno, and he's just saying how beautiful it was, all nice and green, and the baby was so small. His little swing, so cute. Just reminiscing, I suppose. That's why we make these books, ladies. All right, so there it is. Okay, so let me show you real quick. Page 1. Again, oh, I damaged my page 1. Looks like I got some paper on, some ink on there. But flap 1, there's a pocket here. And then when you turn the page, you have this next set of pages, page 2 and 3. And it's gorgeous. I love these colors. And then, of course, you have your little space to put different things. And then it has pockets on either side for your tags. Again, like I said, if that's not working for you, just glue the whole thing down. But there you go. So this is the next set of pages. And I'm going to leave it here until the next tutorial, part 2, I suppose. And then we'll continue on with this next set of pages, okay? We still have a whole other paper bag to work with, and this nice set of flaps here, and then of course our binding, the actual binder, okay? So hope you guys are liking it, and if you have any questions, please leave them and I'll try to answer them as well as I can. Bye now.